Hello,
Hi, Kevin.
how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Sorry to mess you around.
No worries, all good. That's fine. Sorry, I was out and about there in the garden for a bit.
No, it's cool. It's no problem. It's good. It's good. It's good to get it done. I'm
Yes.
really excited to talk to you and learn about everything that's happened. I mean, it's a first on so many levels, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit of a mad one. It was a massive learning curve for everyone, I think. Just gotta
Yeah,
close the
yeah.
blinds.
So, well, um, am I going to say this right? How do we say your surname?
Leahy, Leahy.
Leahy. Okay, so Kevin Leahy, you won the Arctic Spine. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Who is Kevin Leahy? Where have you sprung from? What have you done before and how did you win this amazing race?
Kevin Leahy is a 39-year-old male living in the southwest of Ireland. I've been doing ultras. I suppose been into the ultras and endurance stuff for about 10 years now. I
Okay.
spent my 20s in Australia working too hard as an engineer, and then I quit that when I was 30 and headed for South America. I traveled there for a while and came back to Ireland and bought a building and turned it into a hostel. That's my kind of living now, hostel and coffee shop.
Oh, lovely.
Um, yeah, yeah, my life is pretty much based around adventures, whether it's motorbiking, kayak, mountain biking, running, now skiing, a little bit of climbing, anything really to do with adventure is what I'm living for. I've been, yeah, I suppose, what kind of working my way up through the distances. I've done a race here in Ireland called a Kerry Way, four
Yeah.
times, like a 200K race. And I got into the Arctic stuff about 4 years ago. It was 5 years ago. I was backpacking in Canada, and I was up in the north in a place called Yukon, and I heard about this race, the Yukon Arctic Ultra, and I thought it'd be all these crazy army guys with crazy gear and all that, and I like, how would anyone do it? And then I saw them out like in their training runs, and I said I could do that. So I had very basic gear, and I ended up doing a marathon kind of by myself. And then I came back the next year and did the 100 mile, and then I was supposed to come back next year and do the 430 mile, but COVID happened, so no racing happened that year. So then the following year, I set myself a target of two 500K races within a month. So I did one in Sweden and I won the first one in Canada and the second one in Sweden. I'm not sure if you've seen it. So kind of a local producer followed me and made a documentary of that kind of adventure. That's available on Amazon Prime if you wanted to watch it. It's called A Thousand Kilometers of Chaos.
Okay.
And so then, yeah, I think you enjoy that. Yeah, then I took a break for a bit and came back and I saw the spine. I talked to Phil when I was kind of thinking about signing up. I thought I'd end up doing it on foot, but then when I talked to Phil, he's like, "Oh no, you'd be better off ski it." And I've kind of wanted to push the skiing thing anyway. I wasn't really a skier, but I've been looking for an excuse. I said, "All right, so I'll ski it." So I kind of tried learning to ski in Ireland and got a kind of pair of skikes, skis on wheels, and I was on them in Ireland for a couple of months, just kind of learning the balance. And I went to Norway then for 10 days in December and got one day of skiing lessons, and then just went skiing every other day by myself.
And is it skiing or is it cross country skiing or tour?
I think backcountry skiing is what it's actually called.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're shuffling along, I
You're
guess.
kind of shuffling, yeah. Depends on the snow conditions. Yeah, you can be gliding if you're going good and it's a bit nice and icy, but sometimes, yeah, you're shuffling.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
if you've been
And
going for
was that the same for everyone? I mean, does everyone ski or is this not?
everyone was on skis in this race, yeah,
It was a
yeah,
ski. Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Okay, so I assume that obviously your experience in Canada made you that's what made the Arctic race attractive to you.
yeah, yeah. I really like the Arctic stuff. I like the cold. I like the conditions. Yeah, get just being out there and getting the music right and being out there in the middle of the night, seeing northern lights, clear skies. Really, it attracts me. I have a
Yeah.
calling for it.
Well, yeah, I mean it must be stunning, but surely, 5 days in, do the Northern Lights have any effect or does it make it worse or better?
You don't see them every night, so when you do see them, it's always special kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And 5 days, yeah. Like it can take a couple of days to get into this stuff. Get into this stuff. Get used to the cold and get your systems right and settle in. But after that, like I kind of get into a bit of a trance kind of thing. You get the music on and you're cruising along. I generally quite enjoy the middle of the races.
And how often did you stop? Because I see that it said you didn't really use the checkpoints to bed down at all. You just came in and went off again.
Yeah. So I generally be going about 20 hours a day, and I'd get it like between 1 and 3 hours sleep whenever I was just totally lacking. And when I was so tired that I was kind of just not going fast enough, then I'd stop and set up my camp and sleep for, as I say, 1 to 3 hours and get going again.
How much light was there?
There was about 6 hours of daylight.
Okay.
And then you
Okay.
get kind of a dawn and dusk outside of that, so it wasn't all darkness.
Oh,
So it
okay.
wasn't too
Yeah.
bad, yeah. Because it was interesting. We were racing north to south, so like the further south we were coming, there was more. I think by the end of the race, there was like an extra hour of daylight in the start of the race because we
Oh,
come from
wow.
1,200 kilometers south, and every day was getting longer, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, fascinating.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
amazing. And what so what did you, gosh, equipment. I'm sure we could probably spend all night talking about equipment and what you had to take. And did you have to supply everything, presumably that your
Oh,
pulk and stuff like that?
yeah. So there was the options to rent everything, but I pretty much own everything now. I bought my own travel pulk, and I have my own skis now, and I have my own sleeping bag, like a sleeping bag rated to -45. So 70 kilos what I carried through the airport. Two big bags, a ski bag, and that was me totally self-sufficient. I probably carried too much food, and I just brought like everything from nuts to dark chocolate. Like in hindsight, I probably could have bought some of that stuff there, but last time I raced in the Arctic, there wasn't very much of a choice. So I just said, I'll just get everything here and know what I've got, and then get it there. So about 70 kilos what I weighed, but I had everything.
Wow. That's amazing. And what sort of calorie intake were you looking at per day?
I was aiming for the nutritionist would tell me 5,500, but I don't think I ever hit that. I like in any of my races, it's hard to get it in. So
Hard
I
to
probably,
carry. Oh,
hmm
hard to carry as well.
yeah. Well, with the pulk, it's not too bad. But I was having two dehydrated meals a day, like 1,000 calorie expedition food, like a dehydrated thing, like
Mm.
oats, and it's lovely to be having in the morning. And then I'd have a meal, like a stew or a curry or something, another 1,000 calories. So that was 2,000. And then I was just supplementing with dark chocolate, nuts. I make these date bombs, I call them, dates with almond butter and dark chocolate on the outside.
Mhm.
And was having supplementing it with a little bit of salt, maybe one salt tablet a day, and then like some dried meat as well, like some jerky and stuff like that, just to kind of
Okay.
get some extra fats into you.
Well, that
But
sounds good.
yeah. So I was eating well, but I'd say I was lucky if I was hitting 4,000 calories a day. But you're kind of allow for the fact I think I lost, like, I didn't actually weigh myself since I got back, but I probably lost 5 or 6 kilo.
Yeah.
Um,
You can't not really, can you? Yeah.
no, no, especially when when it's kind of a race, you're always pushing it a little bit. Yeah, and it's hard to get to that. They say it is 5,500, but I think in a race in the Arctic when it's -30 degrees, you're not going to be stopping cooking and getting all
No,
your calories in. And look,
no.
it's not like you only do one or two of these a year, so just to have that fluctuation in the weight, it's not going to kill me. I've nothing going on now, so just eating loads, so it's
Yeah.
actually nice.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And tent and everything and stove. Do you freeze the thaw out the snow as water? Do you have to
Yeah,
carry water?
yeah. So you carry a couple. So I wear a bladder over my base layer and between my mid layer kind of thing on my back. So that's where I carry my water, and I'd also have like 2 liters of emergency water in my pulk. But then when that runs out, then you're boiling the snow. Yeah, and the stove is it's like an MSR stove. It runs on liquid fuel, so they're kind of bomb proof, pretty bomb proof. So you pull them out whenever you need it, and boil up some snow.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, an amazing adventure. And the sort of the country you're traveling through, is it fairly flat then if you're
No, it's quite mountainous. It's beautiful where we were. This one on the Kungsleden Trail in Sweden. It's really really nice and isolated. And yeah, there was some quite big hills there to get over. There's two
yeah.
routes kind of. We were kind of mixed between the winter spine route and the summer spine route kind of thing. Like a lot of people thought I was off track, but I was kind of just following the only trail available to me that the skidoos had gone over. So the trails kind of slightly alter every year when it freezes. They make like slightly different routes with the skidoos. But no, so there was some big hills and yeah, some good pulls uphill and then some nice downhills as well. There was one morning I was just trekking uphill for hours and hours and hours, and then I got to the top and the sun was rising and there was an inversion, so there was like a blanket of low cloud everywhere. And then, but you could see all the snow-capped mountains sticking up from the clouds everywhere, and I was like skiing back down into the clouds. It was really, really nice.
Oh, that does, yeah, that does sound amazing.
Yeah.
And how many of you did the race? How many of you started? I know you were the only finisher, weren't you?
Yeah, I think 15 of us started. There was 2 distances to start, and 15 started in total. But I think the vast majority didn't make it past 24 hours. It got to minus 30 on the first night, and I suppose it's a big shock. Minus 30 is cold by we hadn't expected it to get that cold in the first night. And like going to the Arctic as well, it is a shock in getting used to those conditions, and you can do all the planning in the world, but then when you get into it, things just like, even for me, who's kind of experienced, it was like the first day was a bit of a shock. My GPS wasn't working so well, and a couple other things went wrong, and zips don't work at minus 30 degrees. But I suppose I was able to problem solve them one at a time and got through it and settled into the race, whereas other people, maybe just didn't have that same look in problem solving, or they didn't have the fallback plans I might have had.
Do you think the experience you had was key? Do you think, I don't know what the other experience the other racers had, but
yeah, I think yeah, it would definitely like one of the contributing factors to me surviving being the last man standing kind of thing. Yeah, having done a few of these before and like having a taste for the cold and the layering systems and the little, just tiniest little things, like not having small carabiners and not having fiddly things and having good big zips and easy things to grab, so you don't have to take off your gloves all the time.
yeah, I mean, you mentioned your GPS. I mean, how did you navigate?
So my GPS unit didn't work in the cold, but then I had a watch as well. So I ended up just using my watch the whole time, which wasn't the end of the world. But sometimes when things start to go wrong, you can kind of let them compound. But I was lucky enough; I had a backup plan in my watch.
And did that not? I mean, I assume it was able to. You could keep it warmer under your sleeve, but then you can't read it, or.
I had it depends which gloves. It's funny actually. I was wearing some of the gloves were going right over my wrist, but then I had a pair of Montane mittens that would go there, so there was a little gap between there and there that it wasn't too hard to read kind of thing. But then later I did change gloves for the second half of the race, and that was a bit more of a pain in the arse. All right to see it.
Okay. Are there paper maps? I mean, would a compass have helped you if you'd had?
There are paper maps, but again, when it's minus 30 degrees, you don't want to be fluffing around pulling out a big map kind of thing. Like it was on we had them, or I had a little booklet which I didn't really look at it in much detail because I was always relying on the GPS. But then when I did pull it out, it didn't have any of the winter routes, so it ended up being pretty useless for me. But like if I had the paper, but I think there was like over the route there was like 5 paper maps. So yeah, ideally the GPS would have been the goal, but just the one I brought didn't work really well in the cold with the batteries.
Yeah, I mean, had you been there before? I mean, it's quite. You're putting your faith in where you're going in just a watch.
Yeah.
Most people, most wilderness experts would be up in arms about. Oh my God, no, not electronics.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, they said the route was kind of it was well enough marked with these red X's, but then at times there was like red X's going 2 directions, so you wouldn't really know which way was the conch sled. And again, sometimes on the lakes, then there'd be no red X's, there'd be sticks, but the sticks would break off, and you'd be kind of checking it. But it was definitely navigationally, compared to the other ones I'd done, this was the trickiest, because the other ones I'd done on the conchs are in Sweden and the Yukon, they're really well marked. You're not having to pull out the GPS at all. You kind of know where you're going. Whereas this one was tricky. A lot of people got lost on the first day as well.
Yeah,
but again, I think yeah, the directors, they would have learned a lot from on the route mapping point of view as well. I think next year will be a lot better.
Did you see anyone? Anyone else?
And I was I was off and on with some of the competitors at times. Yeah, like Ed was with me until like day 5, I think, and then he pulled out, so it was just me for the last 3 days, 2 nights. And I was seeing the crew maybe once a day. I met some interesting characters. I met this Italian guy who was at the cycling from Italy, and then he was walking. He was walking the whole Kungsleden by himself, and then he was going kayaking 1,000 kilometers up in Norway as well. Lorenzo something. Apparently, he's a well-known adventurer within Italian circles.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then another night I met these two mushers. They were after coming, like mushers are the dog sled guys. They were after coming all the way from Norway on the trail, and they were heading to some race as well. So there was a couple of random adventures, and met one other French guy who was like pulling a 70-kilo sled, and he was just going into the wilderness for 2 weeks by himself hunting. So yeah, so you met some interesting characters.
Proper adventurers, aren't they?
Yeah.
But so otherwise, you're spending a lot of time in your own head, presumably. I assume that's something you're quite comfortable with.
Yeah, I've no problem. I love it. Yeah, that's probably why I do it. Yeah, but music is a big part of it for me. But like, depending on the time, depending on just weather conditions and stuff like that, I change up the music, and you really kind of get into it a bit of a trance with the music.
And that didn't freeze.
No, I had a little really old iPod thing that didn't freeze. And I keep that like inside my close to my chest there, and it stays nice and warm.
Oh, excellent. And the finish, I mean, what was that like to get to the end, to be the first person, the furthest? You will forever be in the record books no matter what happens.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah. The last days, the last little bit's always long. So felt like it took me forever to get there, kind of thing. But I was pretty chill because I wasn't racing anymore. Essentially, it was just like I just have to get myself to the finish line. So I was stopping and snacking, and yeah, when I got there, it was good. There was a nice crew at the finish line. All the spine guys who were all like really top people, and Phil was there, and they had some pizza and a beer for me, and I had like 3-4 beers and just fell asleep. Fell asleep with all my clothes on.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I saw the message, beer and pizza, I'm coming in.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good. It was nice to cross the finish line, and I was moving quite well on the last day. I was actually gliding again on the skis, kind of thing. The conditions were quite good. So I was in good spirits.
Yeah. How you say you were moving quite well. I mean, what does recovery look like from something like that, and how do you train for it, especially in Southern Ireland? I mean, you don't get a lot of snow there.
Yeah, no, we get no snow. I was probably about maybe 6 hours a week on the skikes, so that kind of skiing motion. And I generally go for a 4 or 5 hour mountain bike every Saturday. I'd pull a tire as well, so like getting used to that kind of pulling motion for maybe 2.5 hour session a week, and then a couple of little runs. Yeah, and I suppose getting closer to it, I was like a weighted trek as well, so maybe get 15 kilo on the back and just a long trek in the mountains. But it was a nice variety. Like I didn't ever feel like I was training kind of thing. I was just like doing a nice mix of things that were some social, some by myself, and I didn't. I had trained a lot harder for the previous 2 500k races I'd done. This one I just had a 10 hour training week in mind, but probably with the long trek on a Sunday, I was doing more than 10 hours.
But you make it sound very relaxed and casual. And easy.
You kind of get, I suppose when I did that 1,000k, I trained so hard for it. So like it's all relative to what you've done, and I suppose I know now so much of it's mental and not physical, and you get to, with these things, you get to a certain point physically, and you're pretty strong.
Yeah.
But there's only so fit you can be.
Well, particularly for a multi-day. I mean, it's a very different thing, isn't it? Just not stopping.
Definitely, and like too much training. Like it's nice for me to be going in a couple of kilos heavier, a couple of kilos fatter than normal. So too much training, and it's hard to keep the weight on. So that was an excuse for me to be lazy as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I need to eat this extra pizza.
Yeah. Get all those calories into me.
Oh, fantastic! Well, it sounds amazing. What's your next race this year? What's your second big event?
I'm not good. I don't think I'm going to do another race this year. Now I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to studying later in the year. I'm going to studying counselling and psychotherapy, so I'll probably have quite a good focus on that. I'll keep training away. But I'm thinking I won't be racing again this year, and look at doing something pretty epic the winter after this.
Oh, okay. That
Yeah.
sounds good. And you were raising money, weren't you?
Yeah. I did it as a fundraiser for an autism charity in Ireland called As I Am. So
Okay.
we raised I raised just over €7,000, which is great.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well,
Yeah,
if it's still live, send me the link and I'll add it
I will.
when
I will.
when I share this. Oh, well, thank you very much for talking to me. That's fantastic.
No
Congratulations
worries.
again.
Thank you.
And yeah, let me know when you know what you're doing for your next epic adventure, because I'm sure it's something we'd like to hear about.
Yeah. It's here. I need to have put some more thought into it and raise a couple of €100,000 before I'm able to do it.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Well, good luck with that.
All right. Thanks a million. Good to
Thank
talk to
you,
you.
Kevin. Take
Take
care.
care. Bye.
Bye-bye.